Hey guys, thanks for listening. This episode is going to be a two-part episode. This is part one. Thanks. Enjoy. All right, we are back. This is season 2,
What up?
episode 2. So we are on a roll. 2 weeks in a row, back to back. We are knocking these things out.
Right.
If you guys followed back on season 1, it was a little non-consistent. It might have been like 2 weeks apart, 2 months apart. But we are on it. But yeah, if you guys are listening over on just audio, this is John speaking. And we have Matt over there.
Yeah, what it do? What it do?
Yeah, and then today, our guest today is a guy that I met when we were coaching at Sweat. And so I met this guy. One thing that I've always, like, whenever I would take his class, he would always say, you can do all things.
Hey.
And I just remember that. And I'm like, wait, you got to finish it.
Yeah.
But of course, given where we were at, people's, you don't want to get into that whole thing at times. Yeah, if you want, I mean, I feel it's fine. And so, sorry, Matt's going to go turn the air off. But yeah, I mean, he, like, when I heard that, like, I think that was really cool in class. But anyways, he can explain more on why he says it maybe and all of that stuff. We have Spencer in the house.
Let's go.
Thank you for getting on, man. Thank you for coming on board, joining this podcast. I know we've been trying to get you on for a while. It's just, again, we couldn't even get ourselves back on this thing, but here we are. I think this season we're really going to.
Here go Matt taking his shirt off. Matt going to do the no shirt on up in here again.
I don't know,
shirt, Matt.
Matt's gonna start doing like our podcast without a shirt on.
Yeah, dog. You're gonna make everybody just nervous and uncomfortable.
It's a little hot, you know what I'm saying?
It's a little hot.
Yeah, but so yes, I mean, so where are you from? Just tell us a little bit about yourself. What you do? I know. Well, we know you train.
Yeah.
But there's other things that you do besides just being a coach.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of us that, I want to say some coaches don't just coach. Some people do other things. But anyways, yeah, man, where you from? What else do you do? How long have you been doing it?
Yep.
All that good stuff. Let the people know.
That's what's up, man. First and foremost, man, got to start this off by just shouting out both you guys for doing this. I love what you guys are doing. Whenever y'all first started, I couldn't tell any of the hiccups and all that you're talking about or the inconsistencies, but I did just appreciate whenever y'all would post or do little reels or highlights, man. I think this is a great avenue that you guys are kind of walking in, highlighting fatherhood, and it's beautiful. So I admire what y'all are doing. I support what y'all are doing, and I just encourage you to keep doing it because the world needs it. So love y'all. Honored to be here.
Thanks,
and
man. Appreciate
secondly,
it.
I'm honored to be here right now and just introduce myself, Spencer Foreman. I am a husband, and also a father, of course. That's why I'm on here. And above all else, I do, call myself a man of God who definitely wants to represent Him well as the umbrella of everything that I do. And outside of that, I'm a trainer and also a youth pastor at a pretty nice church on the north side called Fallbrook Church. And just moving out and serving the community the best I can. I also have a nonprofit called P413 that I started in 2015. It's kind of been on a little hiatus, right, for a little bit because I've been busy with Sweat and ministry and all that. But that truly is the ministry that started it all, and we're looking forward to bringing that back up. P413 stands for Philippians 4:13, which connects to why you heard me say we can do all things and you can do all things. So my favorite Bible verse is I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So I'm finishing for you right there, John. I'll never forget that, like, just piggybacking off of what John said. Like, he took my class. He's like, I heard you, bro, but I need you to finish it. And I was like, all right, dog, I got you. I hear you. So I love that. And I knew we had that connection. He understood it, right? So that was cool. But yeah, so P413 is also what I do. So anything that I can do to always serve the community, serve others, whether it be through fitness or faith, is definitely something that I kind of lean towards for sure.
That's awesome, man. So how long have you been one, let's see, how long have you been in the fitness realm? Or what's your fitness background?
Yeah.
Start there.
I mean, it starts all the way back from being a kid as being active and all that, right? Just playing basketball pretty much all my life, and also being, active in sports. So sports is a big thing in my family. A lot of people that's played basketball, football, have an uncle that was a globetrotter and he played for the New Orleans Jazz for a little bit. Have a cousin that some of y'all may know is George Foreman. He was a boxer, so got him in the family. And it ain't like we like super close or anything like that, but he's on the family tree. Yeah. So athletes is all throughout the family. So that was kind of just in me and around me and in my environment for me to grow up being an athlete and enjoying fitness. Played basketball in college. And just after that was done, it was like, man, I just want to keep this going because that's a part of my life now is fitness. So eventually got my certification of being a trainer and wanting to start a boot camp just to keep that fitness spirit going, but also passing it to others. So whenever I, wanted to do something, I started P413, and that was in 2015. Now I'm giving you the super short version, right? But I guess my official fitness coaching and training started in 2015 at the boot camps at Buffalo Bayou Park. And then from there, it's just been going ever since.
Yeah.
But
that's what's up.
we can dive into all that a little bit later. But that's the short version.
Okay.
Cool, man. I feel like a lot of people that started fitness, like their boot camp thing was like their thing, like to start off.
Yeah.
Right. You're like, yo, I got my cert.
Yeah.
Everybody come to the park.
Yeah, for
Yo,
sure.
you inviting your friends, your family. Yo, come and take this workout.
Yep.
That's funny.
I started with boot camps too, but not like that. I was at the Y, but it's like the boot camps and like learning how to deal with people and especially with the group atmosphere is kind of a good start into
absolutely
fitness.
Yeah,
because nobody really asks for like specialized training with boot camps. This is kind of like just I need a workout.
Yeah,
right?
Just pull up. We're gonna get it in. Yeah,
and for a trainer, that means that okay, not as much pressure as like one-on-one.
Yes,
right. But then also, it's a community, it's a group. It's probably a group of people that really like you, right? And it's just a stepping stone.
It is a good starter for sure.
So it doesn't surprise me that that you were like you said, like a lot of people that kind of start that same way. It's probably like the perfect way to start, if anything,
Yeah. Has like your fitness and faith. That could be another fitness and faith podcast.
There it is, man. I like it.
It's an extension,
right?
So. Have you ever seen it? So we go back to like whenever I first heard you say, you can do all things through. And for me, I grew up like in the church. So I already knew. Some people might not know or might not catch it, but I caught it. Has there ever been, since you've been working in fitness and like your faith, has that ever brought, or maybe just doing fitness, but kind of just like putting that little sprinkle of faith in your fitness, has that ever brought anyone to like become a believer and like really embrace the faith side of it?
Wow, great question, and I'm so glad you asked that. And the short answer, yes. And it's a few stories that kind of connect to that, but especially when I started P413, you already knew what it was, right? Like P413 is letting you know the whole format of how those boot camps would go is we show up to Buffalo Bayou Park, we do a devotional, we pray. And then we do, just body weight HIIT training, right? So not a lot of things that you need to bring, right? So it wasn't too much of an inconvenience for anybody. This was for everybody. Just pull up. We don't need no equipment. We just gonna be here. And it was more like just a community family atmosphere. It doesn't matter your age. You can bring your kids. Like we have a good time. But you already understood what it was about, right? We'd have, Christian music playing in the background, working out. It's all good. Once I stepped into working out at Sweat, things changed a little bit because Sweat, you got people from all different backgrounds, and it's all good. But even as I'm walking this walk, for me, I'm just being unashamed and fearless in my beliefs and how I live my life. And I encourage everybody to live that way. And I've been seeing that, if you look around, there's a lot of people that stand for what they believe in and represent what they believe in, and they do it unashamedly, and I honor and respect that. So I'm like, I'm gonna do the same thing. So starting at Sweat, I just knew that I was gonna bring that same P413 vibe into that same environment, but just do it in a way that's palatable for those that may not be able to receive it well or may possibly feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is, a lot of passages in the Bible and in Scripture is very motivating, is very encouraging, and people sometimes hear it in their day to day, and they don't even realize that it's Scripture that they're getting, right?
Yeah.
And I would just subtly plant those seeds throughout class. Like in my classes, I don't have any cursing. In my classes, sometimes I'm throwing in some Christian hip hop.
Yeah.
And then also in my classes, I'm throwing in like, hey, we can do all things. Yeah. Be unmovable, be steadfast, press forward towards that prize, right?
Right.
Weapons may be formed against you, but they will not prosper. We will not lose this push. We will not be defeated by this mountain. Keep digging, right? So it's encouragement.
Right.
And they're like, man, this is so good. And it's like the people like you that understand the Scripture, they're getting it and they're encouraged. Like, man, that's dope how you was able to mix that in. Then you have other people like, yo, how are you so energized and you're so motivating? Like, where does it come from?
Right.
I'm like, well, just from what I believe in. Like, that's truly the Holy Spirit that's giving me that fuel and that fire to press through.
Yeah.
It's like then they'll look into me and be like, well, let me pull up and check out his IG or see what he's doing outside of Sweat. Then they see what I'm about and it's like, yo, he's at this church. I'm gonna go pull up at this church. Right. So I've had many Sweat members pull up to the church that I serve at. Nice. And just come check it out, right? So
that's dope.
Whether they're believers or not, they want to take it outside of the blue room and come to his room, if you will, right? And then once they get there, and the church that we have is an awesome church where like everyone's welcome and we're not forcing anything on you. So it leads when you just those little sprinkles and just that little pebble will then be a ripple effect to really have a huge impact in the community.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think one thing with you too, because I've seen like you talk in some of like your sermons, and I think you do a great job of carrying over that energy from Sweat or in general, like that coaching energy and using that as a youth pastor, like using that same type of motivation, that same type of uplifting energy, because you got to do the same for both.
Absolutely, fam. Absolutely. So you just got to keep that same energy, and that's what makes it genuine, right? Like, I know, of course, when I'm chilling with y'all, I know how to chill, right? But when I am in a group setting, and if you're going to be there to teach, preach, motivate, or whatever, you got to keep that same energy across the board, because that energy can be contagious. And that's just how I flow with mine. That's the best way to keep it genuine and sincere.
Yeah. Yep. And it's crazy. Like, so when people are working out, like you think about what's happening inside, right? They're sweating, their endorphins are going and all of this stuff. So emotions. And then, so at that time, it's kind of like a very, how do you say, like, I don't say like tender, but like a very crucial point, because when you have your endorphins going and you're feeling stuff, they could be going through something.
Yes.
Right. So it's like emotionally, they're just like, hey, man, I'm really feeling this. Like I'm having a bad day or whatever, week, month. But like those words, they're like, yeah, this is what I needed to hear. This is what I wanted. And that just might trigger something else.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't have, and this is why the platform is like so huge, is because people don't have an out.
Yes.
Like they don't know, one, like, okay, I would love to go into church, or I would love to get involved in a small group or a men's group or a women's group. But it's like, how?
Yeah.
Where do I start?
Yeah.
And I think those are the things that's like we want to push and encourage, is like stepping into that one place, because it's a big deal. Stepping into a fitness studio, it's stepping into a church.
I love that.
It's kind of like the same thing, right? It's like,
so good. Yeah.
You're like, I don't know anyone. Are they looking at me? Yeah. How do I like, man, this is weird.
Right.
And like, I guess I would say, like, if you how would you encourage someone that, in both, like first time going to a gym, or first time stepping into a church?
Yeah. That's great. I love that connection, right? On how you compared the two, because I totally agree. I want to first talk to the leader of either one of those two, right? Bring them in and welcome them with love. Make them feel comfortable coming in.
Right.
Because that's your job. when you come into a church or even a group fitness environment, you're wanting to come in. You may have your insecurities, you may have your doubts, or whatever it is that you may have coming into it. Only thing that's going to change that whoever you encounter in that environment. So as the person that is leading the group fitness class or leading the church or serving at either one of those, the workers, the front desk people, and the volunteers serving at the church, like when these people come in and it's their first time, you need to welcome them with love.
All right.
Like receive them. And then that breaks down all those barriers where it's like, don't matter what you look like, don't matter who you are welcomed here.
Yeah.
And keep that energy throughout the whole class, throughout the whole service where they feel loved and they want to come back.
Right.
I think it's beautiful on both ends, especially at Sweat. Why we're doing such an incredible job at Sweat right now is because we have a great staff. We have great trainers who really take initiative and take it to heart to treat our members well.
Right.
If this is your first time, listen, we are so happy you're here. We love you. We're encouraging you to keep going.
Yeah.
And it's the same way it should be in the church. Like if you come in and nobody talks to you, if you don't feel welcome, you're not coming back.
No.
And that's going to scar you. I'm not going back to this place. I'm not coming back to the gym. I'm not coming back to church. I'm scarred. Yeah. So if you want to really do the work of helping people in fitness or in faith, it starts with you coming in and giving them that security, give them that affirmation and comfort for them to come in. And that's something that I take personally. Like, so whenever you come into the Blue Room, you are welcomed here. I'm going to motivate you because this is your out. So now that you out here, I want to put something in you so that when you go outside, you can go pour into other people.
Right.
Yeah.
It's great that you say that. Like, so we were talking before. So there's like some new trainers going into through Sweat, and just like when you get new trainers in general, one thing when you say like that's one person's hour, I think what happens with sometimes trainers is that they bring in their they bring in their like bad day or bad week or attitude, and so like you don't understand how much of an impact that has on someone.
Absolutely.
Because you can only imagine if somebody walks in and they're just having a crappy day, and then they come into your workout and then you give them like a crappy workout and you're like, you don't want, it just seems like you don't want to be there. They're like, oh yeah, my life sucks. I don't know. Like everywhere I go, it sucks, you know? But I think just like that is just a huge thing, is like welcoming people into, and just like, I mean, we're talking about Sweat and we're talking about like, just like fitness, but like Matt, this is like, we're in your gym, like we're in your space, and it's like, and you know, it's like when someone comes in, like, what is your approach to that? Like someone that's new into your gym, right? Because this is yours. Like even where it's Sweat, yes, it's still a company, or like, but this is yours. Like, what would you want your coaches? Because you don't have coaches right now, but like if you had coaches, right? What is it that you would encourage them to be like, or just to like to be for these people?
Well, I mean, that's just one thing you do when you hire somebody too. Like you want to hire somebody that even. You may not know this person for anything, but like you can see them being a motivational, positive person for another person, right? It doesn't matter what they look like or whatnot, but it's, you can see them, you can see the potential within them. Sometimes the potential doesn't play out, right? But you, like, if somebody comes in for an interview or somebody, like, you get to know, maybe somebody you know that you want to bring aboard, but like, you know somebody and they're one of those people that are hot and cold. You know what I mean? And then you don't know what you may get. That's when you're like, nah, this may not be somebody that, this might not be the best fit for you. You might work somewhere else, you know what I'm saying, and find somewhere that's going to be a little less pressure for you. But I think that's when it comes to like hiring and developing somebody.
Absolutely.
But I think one testament to Sweat is Sweat does a good job of finding like uplifting coaches, and then also I think do a good job of like trying to keep community within the coaches, and the coaches being comfortable with talking about whatever, you know, situation is going on, but also, and then helping the coaches feel like they want to be there. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's a location where, because, you know, I know you've probably been in it, you know, me and John, we used to work at another spot, and it was like, that was one hard place to come in and be positive about. We still know other coaches that were there, that still are there, that still have, that are going through the mud. So like, just Sweat, I think that's a whole different place. But then also I was going to talk about you, because I think you man, I think it's a testament to you, because I know that you have to be that person a lot, right? Even on the Blue Room, on the stage, wherever you on the stage at, you have, like, that's you are the person that people are looking towards making their day better, right?
Yeah.
And like, in whether it's spiritually, physically, right?
Yeah.
So that, and I know that can be draining. I know it can be draining, bro. So sometimes you just want to take that hat off and just lay back and give me 2 days, give me 3 days.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But that's a testament to you, because I know you have to constantly keep it on. Even outside of that, it's like people still looking at you like, man, no, this is Spencer Foreman. This is the guy that I look up to for you know, anything within my relationship with Christ. I mean, man, he's gonna give me a message that I need today, or same thing. Some people may come to Sweat looking for that. Man, I need both a message and I need a hard workout. You know what I mean? So being able to juggle those two, but then also having to hold yourself on a, you know, within a straight and narrow line of where, like, you can be that motivational person, even when you are trying to relax without, you know, that's just testament to you, bro. Because I'm sure, because I kind of feel the same way too, but like, you know, it's two different fields, right? But even though it's two different fields, I kind of feel like, whenever I'm stepping in here, or even outside of this, the last thing I need is to somebody, I don't know, the last thing I need is for somebody popping up on me at somewhere I don't need to be, right? Like, I'm driving, I kind of feel guilty driving through McDonald's and somebody like,
you silly,
you know what I'm saying?
Mickey D's. That's real though.
But for real though, you know?
Nah, man, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I received those words, man. And thank you for seeing me on that, right? Because it can be a challenge. And I can't say that I'm doing it just off my own strength.
Yeah.
Right. It's really something where I tap into something much deeper and much stronger, and it's a higher power that truly fuels me up, that I need through my day-to-day to get through these days. Because if it's just me doing it on my own, then you would get a whole different me. You get an angry me, and you know, having that face where it's gonna make other people feel uncomfortable. And I'm not saying I haven't had those moments, right? I'm still human and I fall short, but in those moments, that's where I know that I haven't tapped into meditation or prayer, or getting outside of myself and connecting to something outside of me to give me that energy and that fuel and that peace, wisdom, understanding, love that I need, right, to give to others. So that's huge, right? Because just letting y'all know now what I do before I go into class. Let's start with going into class, right? Sweat. I'll do a quick little meditation and a prayer, right, before I open those doors, just so I can set the atmosphere for myself and for everyone else, right? And it can be anyone else in that realm. Like, before you get started, it's like stretching before you go into a game. Make sure that you prepare yourself before you go out into the game, right? So that you are ready for whatever is coming at you. So that's my moment to you know, quote unquote stretch, if you will, and get prepared for when I open them doors, you getting me 100%. Same thing when I go into, you know, go on the stage or go into the church realm. I'm praying, I'm meditating, I'm reading the word, I'm preparing myself before I present myself to others so I can receive them well. Get connected to that gas station first, get fueled up before I get all gas to everybody else. Same thing at home. Right. Whenever I come home, and I know a lot of people probably do this, I chill in that garage for a quick little minute before I get out, right? And it used to be me chilling on that garage and just, you know, flipping through IG, seeing what's popping, or trying to get my next song or finish the song that I was listening to. But now it's like I really give myself time to just cut everything off, just be, right? Pray, and really just like ask the Holy Spirit to take over and guide me and speak through me, so that when I walk in that door, you get husband, you get father, you don't get youth pastor, you don't get Sweat, you get me. Yeah. And whether it was a bad day, good day, or whatever it is, I'm locking into you now, because they, honestly, man, they can understand it, and they love me, my wife and my daughter, either way they love me, but they still want me. Right. So me coming in and bringing that same energy that I had where the world was just, you know, pulling from me, I was pouring in. Yep. I need to take the time to fuel back up in that garage, so that when I come in, it's like, yo, what's up? Right. I'm here. Yeah. It don't matter that they all drain me. They need me now. Right. So it's all about preparation before going into all these spaces. that you go into, and you gotta have that time for yourself.
I can see that, man. And I appreciate that, because that's some great advice, first off, for you know, those people who have that type of responsibility.
Yeah.
But also, I was going to say, it's funny that you brought up your wife and your daughter too, because I thought about, I'm like, I mean, of course you got to bring it home too,
Mm-hmm.
but that's a testament to your wife too, because she knows what's pulling on you everywhere else.
Absolutely.
So she's got to have a certain type of relationship with you too.
Yeah.
And she knows there's a lot of responsibilities on your shoulders as a man, with the responsibilities that we men have to take on our shoulders. So, you know, it's just, I think it's just impressive, but because I know how that feels to an extent.
Absolutely.
Right?
And shout out to my wife, Christiana. So thank you for all that you do. Christiana Foreman is definitely killing it as a wife and a mom, for sure.
That's amazing. And I think that's society nowadays. It's just like, you find it that people find it hard to find someone that is like that, or that you can come home to that in both, like in a man and a woman. And I think sometimes men don't think, like Matt said, he's like, you know, we have all this weight on our shoulders. We got to be providers. We got to do this. We got to do that. And I think sometimes you have to give yourself some grace.
Absolutely.
Right? Because, and I tell you, so this happened recently. A good friend of mine, of course, I'm not, I mean, if you know me, or if you know him, what I'm about to say, then you know who it is. But and he's not afraid, but I'm not going to just say his name. But anyways,
he's talking about me.
No.
Here we go.
So I sometimes post stuff about, like, on my Instagram about, like, mental health.
Yeah.
And I tell Isad, I'm like, hey, I don't know what God's purpose is. Like, I enjoy doing social media stuff, being on there, but I'm like, there has to be a purpose. Like, for me, I just feel like there's something that I'm like, God, what do you want me to do with the knowledge that I have, the talent that I have in this space, right? How do I help others? And mental health for me has been a big thing, right?
Huge.
Especially men's mental health.
Yeah.
So I had someone reach out to me probably a week and a half ago.
Okay.
And he texts me and he's like, hey, man, he goes, wrote me this long text about how he has been struggling, you know, and he's like, I have these, things that I need to get rid of, and like, it's affecting me being a dad, me and my wife. And I was on the way to Denver. I was actually getting on a flight, and I was just like, man. He's like, and you're the first person that I thought of to reach out to, because you speak about mental health on Instagram. And he's like, and I didn't really, so I'm reaching out to you. And he's like, it's right now. And he goes, this is a lot for me just to even reach out.
Wow.
Like, I'm just very, he felt vulnerable.
Right. Beautiful.
And so, but he just went on about stuff. And again, he went through a lot. He was incarcerated for 22 years. He was wrongfully accused for murder.
Wow.
And so this was up in another state. But so anyway, so I met him. When I met him, great guy. Like, you would not think that he's a big dude, right? Like, but like, you never would think that, like, he's a nice guy, sweet guy, will just like go to bat for you, do all that stuff.
Matt, I didn't know you did 22 years in prison, bro. Wow. Okay, go ahead.
And so the first thing I did, I wrote him this long thing, gave him some encouraging words, like what he's gone through and all this stuff. And like, hey, one, you're not alone at this. Two, as soon as we get back, we will meet up and I will help you finding a therapist.
Yeah. Awesome.
Doing all that. And it kind of just like, I think those were the things where I'm just like, man, is this where where God is veering me to, like, post more things like that? Because men don't know how to do what you do, right? In a sense of like, okay, I can go home and still be vulnerable with my wife and tell her, or my spouse, because he felt that he cannot do that.
Wow. Yeah, that's tough. Yeah.
Right. And it's not because she's not, like, supportive of it, but because he has that like, nah, I'm a dude, like,
Yeah, it's pride.
right.
Yeah.
And he's like, man, sometimes I just can't shake those years being in there when
Sure.
when you're just joking
Yeah.
with someone and then somebody says a word and it's triggering and you're
Right.
like, nah, we're just playing. But he's like, nah, I'm not. That's not who I am.
Absolutely.
You know, wait, what you're trying to say, that I'm not like, you know, and he's just like, and he's like, and it's just like, it's troubling. And I think a lot of it's just like that PTSD kind of thing that comes up. He just says like, you know, I gotta be the man, like, you know, man, those years that were taken away from me and I should be further along in my career. And he's trying to do stuff. And I said, man, look, and we went to go, we met for lunch and I said, you know, it's like, I think, yeah, you went through and it wasn't fair, but, and he like, of course, loves his wife. He's like, man, I cannot like imagine losing her, you know, and my son. And he's like, this is what I always wanted, was like a family.
Right.
And I said, do you think you would have met her if you wouldn't have gone to present? He's like, man, I'm gonna be honest with you, John. He's like, I would probably been dead. And I said, there's always like a purpose and a reason. Not to say that those years were fine. I was like, but you're still here.
Yep.
Your story's not done. And now you have this amazing wife at home. You have your son. You might not be where you're at now, but having that open relationship or communication with your spouse goes so many ways, because at the end of the day, she's going to be there for you regardless. Like, she's going to support you and help you. If you can open up to your spouse about stuff like that, oh, I mean, they're going to love you even deeper.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's what they want. And they're understanding.
Yep.
And I think, so you're saying like men don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
And I've learned to communicate and having those hard conversations, and it's okay being vulnerable.
Absolutely. Man, so good. Thank you for sharing that. And shout out to the homie that you're
shout out to me.
No. Yeah, thank you, Matt. Absolutely, Matt. Shout out to you. First, I want to let you know that your purpose, you're walking in that purpose right now. When you say like, man, what am I supposed to be doing, God? You're literally walking in that now. Because you are being a light in a dark space, especially in our time, is what society is saying, like men should be, manly men. That's been going on for a long time. And now thankfully we're starting to open up more, right? Being more vulnerable. But still we have those guys of old that still has that mindset. And because of your vulnerability that you're showing for the world to see, talking about mental health and being, open about the struggles that you have mentally, that led him to want to come to you. Right. So shout out to you, number one, fam, as far as walking in purpose. And I encourage you to keep walking in that. Right. And I wouldn't say that's a purpose. That's a calling. That's a calling that you're in. Our purpose is just to lead people to Jesus if we are believers in Christ. That's everybody's purpose, to shine his light in whatever it is that you're doing. Right. Your calling is whatever it is that you're great at doing, that you're gifted in. Right. And you're walking in that. So shout out to you. And that brought him to want to ask you those questions because he saw what you was doing. He's watching you. So he's like, okay, John can help me out. And now that he has you, he has that community, so you can walk with him in that journey in helping him communicate, because you're being open and communicating with him, and that will soon encourage him, just like you encourage him to come to you, to want to be more open and vulnerable with his wife. It's a process. That's how I want to, if he's watching or listening to this, it's going to be a process for him, and it's going to be a journey. But now that you're not walking this journey alone, and you got somebody in the trenches with you, right, and y'all are doing this thing together, you can lead him well. And communication is key, fam. Yeah. In everything that we do, man or woman. And I think it's important that we understand that, like, at the most basic of things, scripturally, right? Let's keep it there, even on the face side. Like, in the beginning, God created heaven and earth. Like, when he was creating everything, he spoke a word and it was going, right? So he was communicating, right? He spoke a word, right? Yeah. So even he was talking it into existence. And then, of course, when it came to building us and creating us, he formed us in his image. But even when he formed us, when he formed man was just clay. Man was still just dirt until what? Until he breathed on Adam. Right. So he still had to breathe, right? He had to have a breath to breathe on Adam, right? He had to open his mouth, breathing into Adam, and then Adam was able to then turn into an actual human being, which was his greatest creation, right? So we need to use our breath, right? We need to use our voice to communicate with others, because when we communicate to others, when we breathe on others, we bring life to this situation.
Right.
That's good, by the way. But you have to breathe on that situation and open your mouth so that when people hear you and you're saying something that's helping them, you're actually bringing life. You're speaking life into them, right? But also you can speak death, because the power of life and death is in the tongue.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that you're uplifting them at the same
That's
time.
right. The tongue's pretty. It's really powerful.
It's powerful, fam. It's powerful. It can give you life or it can kill you. So you make sure that you use it the right way. So even in those moments, again, when you coming home, don't bring that energy. You just went out to battle outside, right? You fought so many battles throughout your day, but you made it home, right? And now you're coming home to somebody that's not against you. They with you. You coming to the home team. You're not going to the away team. So this should be your place of peace and comfort and security. But if you bring that, the hell outside, and you bring it to what you're supposed to call heaven inside, right? And you bring that same energy, then that's going to bring hell into the house. That's going to be hell for you and everybody there. So take time to connect to something outside of you. Fuel yourself up. Pray about it. Meditate on it. Whatever it is, to just let go of everything that you just experienced and went through, good and bad. And then when you are in that home with your wife, with your children, you are present as a husband. And even if you're just a dad, you are present as a dad, and they get all of you. Because they honestly, they don't care about that. I mean, they care about you, but they don't care about what's going on. They just care about your presence right then and there, and you being the husband and or the father that you are, because that's what they need.
Yeah. But I think you touched on it, and we kind of talked about this earlier, and then you brought it up a couple times. The meditation,
the
prayer,
for sure.
Dude. I mean, I think that's one thing that a lot of people are lacking. Like whenever it comes to, I don't think you're ever comfortable, but you know that, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, because you're having that constant, meditation. You're like, no, this is exactly where he's leading me, but at the same time, this is where I know I need to be, and this is what I need to be doing. So. That prayer, that meditation just kind of reroutes you, and it reaffirms your thought process.
And hell, even when like we in sweat or any group fitness or working out, bro, we do what, 30-second pushes, 60-second pushes, 90-second pushes, or 2-minute pushes. But then after that push, it's a recovery. You gotta stop. We can't just run these people the whole time, fam. There has to be a moment to stop, because if I just keep running you to the ground, you gonna die. And that's the same thing in life, right? And you have to have moments where you stop going 100 miles per hour, when you stop sprinting, right? When you stop just going and grinding. You need to stop, you need to pause, and you need to recover. First of all, for yourself, and then so you can continue to move forward for others that's dependent on you. Because when you leave that blue room, or when you leave that job, or whatever it is, when you leave the day to day, there's somebody that's going to be dependent on you to still be your full self. Right? So it goes in all things, man. You need to stop. You need to recover, rest, meditate, prayer, whatever it is, so that you can get back to being your full self to whoever it is that needs you to be that.
Yeah. No, I think it's I want to say, like, for me, being when I was younger, and you're talking about like that was not even I was not even thinking that.
Facts.
Even having a child, right? There was times, I'm not gonna say that I was like, out all the time and stuff like that, but I've said it before. I think like there's things, and again, every person has their seasons of what they go through, and it's like how you come out of that season, what you learn, or how it's what makes you that better person, right?
Absolutely.
And so like someone might see this and there might be in the season, man, they're lost or they're confused, and they're like, okay, cool. Some might not see this, and they might see another thing when they're in that season of it, right? But still keeping consistent. But again, going back to like you were saying, like you don't understand how many people around you need you, right? And kind of just like feed off your energy and like how you are. Because I mean, again, like let's go into kids, right? So like you have, it's a daughter, yeah, that's right. You brought her to Sweat one time.
Faye. She's getting ready to be 2 in January 17th, so 1 and some change, man. Yeah.
Wait, January?
January 17th. Yeah.
Oh, I think we talked about it because my birthday's the 18th.
There it is. Yep, we did talk about it.
I think
That's crazy.
Yeah, those tunes, man. Those are fun got
terrific
crazy.
twos, y'all. Terrific twos.
Well,
We
that's
ain't
crazy,
speaking
too.
that terrible.
We had this conversation before baby girl was born, like a month before she
Yeah,
was
I remember
born,
it.
man.
100%.
Me and him sat and probably had like an hour and a half
Absolutely.
long convo, man.
Yeah.
Deep.
And so like she's not at the age where she can talk yet, right? I'm assuming she understands like small words. I'm like, I am 16 years out of 2-year-old.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm around some kids,
I'm
but
with
I
you.
still don't understand. Like sometimes I forget, like, when do they start walking? When they're like 3, and they're like, no, when they're like the 1.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
yeah.
oh,
15 years ago, John.
Yeah.
But I think, like, do you have, and I'm not gonna say like there's no playbook on, hey, and this is how you are a dad, or this is how this is, chapter 2,
Absolutely
2
not.
years old. This is, but I think, is there anything in your mind that you think of, like, man, as she gets older, what are the things that I want to teach her or show her, speak existence into her, as one, being, a pastor, and then 2, like, just like fitness wise, I guess, just like things like that, like encouraging and things like that. Because I think what happens is sometimes guys don't know how to. I was 21 when my daughter was born.
Wow. Yeah.
And so again, and a lot of it goes back to like not having that person in your life,
Absolutely.
that father that can be like, hey, stay your butt at home.
Right.
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, your kids here, like, stay your butt at home, right?
Yeah.
And because, and now that we're talking about, I'm just getting like this thing of like, man, now I see where I would always say, or I say yes or please people, because we were talking about it, right? Because even I had my mom was there, but like I could be like, all right, well, I'm going, like, and she wouldn't really say no. Maybe she wasn't happy about it, but she'd be like, okay. And I think maybe that's where I get a lot of like, oh, well, yeah, yes, right? But is there anything, like, you think, like, as she's getting older, that you're like, man, okay, I need to prepare her for this, or I need to say this?
Absolutely. Great question. And absolutely, number one, there is no playbook, right? We wish we did have a playbook. The closest thing to that, which I definitely go to, is the Bible, right? Because the Bible can cover you and lead you in all things in life. So I definitely go to scripture a lot when it comes to being a husband, a father. And outside of that, my main thing, especially at her age that she's at right now, because you're right, she's saying little words, and it's the cutest thing ever. But the main thing that I've noticed is that your presence is needed at all times. It's just being there and letting her know that I'm there is huge. And it was something I heard somebody say it, and it's so true. And even I experienced it myself. When me and Faye, and her name is Faye, whenever we're playing at the house, we have a whole bunch of toys. And parents know about this. Like, babies, they can pull out all these different toys. You can buy these babies and these toddlers all these toys. But if they find a cup in a brown box or a brown paper bag, that's better than any $50 toy that you can buy, because they'll just be stuck on it. Like, yo, I bought this Tonka toy over here. I'll take you this truck.
I'm taking it back.
And you playing with this box, fam. You better play with this toy that I spent all my hard-earned money on, right? But it's like, no matter the toy, because my daughter, she'll switch up toys all the time. And she'll just be like, play. And then she'll switch it up and go from a toy to a book. Read.
Yeah.
The common denominator that I found out of all that was me. So that it didn't matter the toy. It was all about me and my presence and me being there. So at the end of the day, you realize that the toys don't matter because you are the toy.
Right.
You are the toy.
Right.
You are the one that she wants to be around and to play with. And of course, we have the honor of also cleaning up all the toys that she brought out too. But when you realize that when you are with your child and with your daughter, and for me, when I'm with my daughter, my presence and me being there and me being present and aware, right? Not just being there and being on my phone and she just around there playing, which is cool too, because she knows I'm around, but me being engaged in everything that she's doing. The toys don't matter. Even the words that I'm saying, or the full sentence that I'm saying, she's catching on to it, and you want to give words of affirmation, but the presence and her watching what I do is huge now. And that is that plants a seed that will stay with her for a lifetime. How I treat my wife and how I treat her mother is huge. Those are things that she's going to remember.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of things, and we've heard this saying before, that very seldom people will remember what you say, but they'll remember how you treat them and how you made them feel.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So you, as a parent, you can say these things and again, speak life into your child.
Yeah.
Let them know that they are amazing, they are wonderful, that they can do all things through Christ Jesus who gives them strength. Right. That they are fearfully and wonderfully made. And they do have a purpose to do great things. Right. All those things are important, and just as important is how you love them, how you treat them, and how you live your life, so that when they see you, that's an example that they can go off of. Because listen, you want to be an ancestor, not a ghost. And here we go. This is what I mean by that. As a parent, you want to be someone that is leaving a legacy and leaving something that they want to follow and be a part of and be proud of. Right? Ancestors, when you say, when you go through your ancestry and you talk about your ancestors, right? And you talk about how they overcame and went through some tough times, but they still pushed through, right? There's things that you admire about the legacy that was left, or your ancestors. That's things that you can speak about. But when it comes to a ghost, ghosts haunt you, right? So you don't want to be a parent and be a ghost down the line, that you've done so many bad things that haunts your child to never want to do those things, or that hinders their growth to where they have these struggles in life, that they have these insecurities, right? Or they have these pride issues where they can't be vulnerable because of what you've done to them or lack thereof in their upbringing. Yeah. So that's a ghost parent. Right. You want to be an ancestral parent. So it's like, I want to lead my family just like my father led his, or I want to love my spouse just like I saw my parent love them or love each other. Right. I want to push through, and I want to go through fitness, and I want to work out, because I remember my father coming home, and he came just feeling good and in his workout clothes, or I saw them playing basketball, football, baseball, and I saw them working out and really caring about what they're doing. So I want to continue to do that, because when I saw them, they had this physique, and I feel like my parent is just Superman, right? Yeah. I used to think my dad was Superman because he worked out. You know what I'm saying? And like, man, you are big, you are strong, you are buff, and I see you moving these weights. He can beat up anyone. I am secure, I am comfortable when I'm around my father, because I see the work that he's putting in. Right. Yeah. And that is an ancestor, to where it's like, I'm proud of what I came from, and I want to continue to build on that. Now, it's not all going to be perfect, right? You want to make some changes along the way, but you still want to continue to go on that path. Yeah. But there's other people that have parents as ghosts, and that haunts them. Right. And that scares them. And it's like, bro, I don't know what to do, because they weren't around, or they did things that scarred me for life. Right. So that's kind of, hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah. Makes 100% sense, dude.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys, and I hope you enjoyed part 1 of this 2-part episode series. Tune in next week for the second part. Peace.